Hello everyone, welcome back to the George M. James Book Show, books like no other. And I really hope you find these little talks interesting. I know it is sometimes longer than what I wanted to say, but the fact of the matter is I would rather do a proper job and speak more than less, and just the way it is. Also in my books I would rather explain more than explain less and make sure that people understand what message I have. So I wrote a book called Codename Oath 19. I actually have it here with me, which is weird because most of my books I don't even have. There's a couple behind me, but over 54 books in this series, I have about 10. It doesn't matter. I'll get the rest when I get there. Now, Oath of 19 has a lot of interesting history in it. Like all the books, every single book will have fascinating military history in it, which is written around the story or into the story just to let people know about it. The one thing which comes to mind with Oath 19 is where a South African female sailor in the Second World War, to be precise, on the 1st of June 1944. Sula Beskachny, that's her name, where she actually sank a U-boat. So they thought she did for quite a few hours, and when they couldn't find evidence of it, but there are people who actually believe that she actually sunk this U-boat by detonating a minefield, or underwater minefield, if to be correct, at Saldanha Bay. And fascinating history, and we did make a video about that as well. And from that we found out, because it's in the book, that the method she used, which is called MAD, magnetic anomaly detector. Basically what it is if a heavy metal object like a submarine moves through the water, it will disturb the Earth's magnetic field, because it has its own magnetic field as well. And because of that, this detector thing can then pick it up and you know there's something there. If you look at it, aircraft, many of the naval patrol aircraft has like a long tail boom sticking out. So that is where this MAD device is situated to scan for these disturbances. And it's not new technology, it was used in the 1930s already. So we made a video of that, and then we found out in the book that they also used it in Vietnam on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So I made a video on that as well. And now I want to speak about something else, and that was where the US in 1964 decided that they're going to start making mud on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Now, it might be not news to many of you. I'm sure a lot of you know the story already, but it's such a great story, you know. Even though I consider the US to be the second beast of the Bible, and I always say that because I have to, I feel driven to warn you about it. And I will always refer you to one of my premier books, which is Oath of Evil, The Warn Protestantism, which is a book of 651 pages of biblical prophecies relating to the intelligence world and to see how it's playing out. And a lot of these prophecies played out already. We are actually in the last days. And what you're seeing now is the US basically turning into a fascist second beast. Already there, to be honest, already there. And it's going to bother the world. The Bible says so. The entire world will wander after the beast. And it also says that all these countries are actually sitting at the same table. So you will think that there's a huge fight between them, and they might even be physically, but at the end of the day, we're all serving Satan. Now, anyway, I don't want to go into that too deeply, guys. Go and read Oath of Evil, The Warn Protestantism. You will find out a lot of things which will be shocking to you. But I assure you, all the Bible verses are there, and all the links, all the research, it's there. It's for you to go and educate yourself. But back to Oath 19, which has nothing to do with all of these things. It's a book about deep diving, 300 feet. Very much the same as they would have done here to blow up Nord Stream. And as I say in the little clips, we are going to make a video with South African Navy divers to talk about how it could have been done technically. It's not to say who did it or what did it. Of course, we don't know. Well, I do know. I do believe I know who did it. Yeah, the second beast, who else? But But that will be a technical video, so I'm really looking forward to our main show at Legacy Conversations. But I'm sure it will cause quite a few eyebrows. But anyway, in this book we discuss not only Sula Viscosny blowing up a submarine, or perhaps not. We also looked at the use of MAD, that is magnetic anomaly detection in Vietnam, and we came to a conclusion it didn't work. It didn't work well. And so we decided now we're going to see if it actually, if this other plan of Americans actually worked, the one to make mud. Now, Vietnam, funny enough, is not always muddy. There are dry seasons. But of course, with a monsoon, once it rains, it really, really rains. Ask me, I live in Thailand, which is not far away. So we know everything about the monsoon. But the idea would be to spray a certain solution on these roads or jungles or wherever we think the Ho Chi Minh Trail was, which is a lot of trails, not really a single highway, to prevent the North Vietnamese from reinforcing South Vietnam. We decided they're going to make mud. And the idea is if they make mud, then of course it's very, very difficult for a wheeled vehicle, even if it's 6x6 or 4x4, to get through. In fact, the mud which I created was more slush than mud, which meant, of course, that vehicles couldn't go through. So the theory was very good. And as I always say, Americans, when they do things, they tend to do it with a great enthusiasm. It's just sadly not always in the right direction. So they started this idea in 1964. So they would fly with their C-130s, three of them, same as they would do with Agent Orange, and they would just spray the solution, and they would be escorted by Sky Raiders, which are actually good aircraft for that type of work, counterinsurgency. And they tried to create mud. Now, the operation was called Commando Lava. Probably had other names as well, but that's the name which was revealed to me. And they dropped many, many tons, hundreds of tons probably. And all went well until they flew into a valley of a place called Ao Shao. Not sure I say that correctly. But that's the name I have. Ao Shao. Ao Shao. I don't know how you say that in Vietnamese. I stand to be corrected. But there they got ambushed by AK, and one C-130 was very, very nearly shot down. And it had to return to base. I think it was later written off because the main spar holding the wings was seriously damaged. And that was the end of that. But a good idea, if you think about it. I really have to give credit to the second best military here. You know, when they, so I say, they get stuck in, they really get stuck in quite well. And there's no doubt also that the men flying and the men fighting are really patriots. They just don't understand that fighting for what that Marine General said, war is a racket. Fighting for the big corporates. Now it's fascinating because your big corporates, when they start taking hands with the state to do certain things which the state cannot do, like what happened with a great illness, whose name I can't even mention here, a few years ago, which wasn't that great, where you got locked up like a criminal. We started banning people off their platforms for freedom of speech reasons, who were warning about it and not giving the official version. Not exactly what I'm talking about. Something which the state couldn't do, but a private company can do. Now that is called fascism in life. That is where you take hands, big corporate take hands with the government. They do things that cannot be done by government. You can also see it in places like Blackwater. They would send their mercenaries in and do things which government, for some reasons, don't want to do or cannot be seen to be doing or not doing. Yeah, that's fascism, guys. That's the classic definition of it. So, so that's it. That's the story of 1964 and the idea to make mud. Great idea, didn't work in practice, became too dangerous to do, and so they stopped it. But you really have to give them credit. So the books are available on Amazon in the usual audio as well as Kindle as well as hardcover, softcover. They're all there. I don't know for how long because we're severely suppressed. Obviously, I don't give a "oh, we were good guys" message. I give you a different viewpoint. Not a negative one, but a different one because it's written from a South African viewpoint. Even though we have great sympathy with the second beast of the Bible, we have zero sympathy with the first beast. And absolutely nothing for the one who gave his power to the first beast, which is Satan. So we see things a bit differently from you, but it's still worth your while to find out what we saw and what we discovered because it's seen as warnings. My books are warnings. They are not there to insult. They are there to tell you, listen, we're aware of what you're doing. We know what you're doing. We've studied you in great detail. You'll be astonished to know how much we know about you. And you know virtually nothing of us. And I was content, you know. Sadly so. Your lack of knowledge will be your end. But whatever, read the book if you want or the other books. Spread the word. God bless until we meet again.